What do you boys make of what the Jamie Carragher's of the world are saying, that Arsenal are past their peak? It's downhill from now. Basically saying no matter what they do in the summer, it can't be rectified. Do you guys agree with that take, or is that a little bit premature of a statement?
It's factually correct right now. They are past the peak because they were better last year and they were better the year before. That's factually correct based off of the points per game in the Premier League. So, the question is, can they get back to last year of, really, really being at the top? Obviously, they didn't win anything last year, but, being within a couple of points of the title, the same the year before. Absolutely, they can. But again, that depends on what they do in the summer window. If they go and sign Sesko and these type of... I said this in the summer. But I said this in the summer. Arsenal need the X Factor players. This is what my club need this summer. Yeah, I don't need no Nunez's, no Kovacic's, no Gundawans. Yeah, I need the Florian Wirtzes of this world. Yeah, the legit ballers, the world-class talent. This is what Arsenal need. They don't need Calafioris. They don't need Marinos. Yeah, they need the Osimhens. They need the Gyökereses. They need the Wirtz. They need these type of guys. Yeah, I don't know what Liverpool need. They're a bit of a different situation right now. But, if this is the thing with Arsenal, like, no one's got faith. No one's got faith that Arsenal will do what's required, because they never really do what's required. You thought a couple of years ago when they signed Rice that, hang on a minute, they're moving in the right direction. And then the year later, they follow it up with Calafiori and Marino and Sterling on loan. So, yeah, I don't know, man. What about you, Posse? What are you saying?
I don't think Jamie Carragher was actually too far wrong, to be fair. And you can't say he is wrong, because we don't know. What he's doing is he's giving his opinion on where he believes Arsenal are at. And he thinks that Mikel Arteta has taken us as far as he can. And I don't think that is a mad, wild statement. I think it could be wrong. And we could go next year again and go, what? Blimey, boom, boom, boom. 4 signings in under Berta and we're here. Unfortunately, I don't think what Jamie Carragher has said is incorrect, because you look at the last 2 seasons, Arsenal, I know for a fact, doing content with Manchester City fans, that I'll ask you, LB, you're on with me. I know that you were more scared of Arsenal in the last couple of years than you were this season. And you this season obviously have dropped off. But you're not an idiot. You can see how we were last season and how we were the season before. And I remember started doing content with you probably 2-3 years ago. And when you was like, yeah, Arsenal are starting to scare me. Yeah, they're 8 points clear. This is crazy. I didn't see this coming. Now, complete, utter change. And I think Brandon, True Gunners TV, put in a super chat tell. I don't know if you read that out. Yeah, because this is unbelievable stat. I cannot believe this.
What's this? After 28 games this season in the league, Arsenal have 55 points. After 28 games in the league, Unai Emery's only season with a toxic negative squad that all had to be sold, Arsenal had 56 points. Interesting. That is interesting.
So the first year that Emery, or the last year that Emery had, the time that we were told that this squad's no good and it's a mess and he's inherited a mess, he's got more. I honestly cannot believe. I just don't get it. I'm sorry, man.
I look at it this way. Look, points totals are your points are a barometer. Your league position are a barometer. At the same time, if Emery would have improved from that point the following season and not gone backwards, then he would have kept his job, as an example. So I think if you get to like November, December, and you're sitting, where were you in the league? Like 15th when Emery was sacked.
I think we're 11th, and then
11th. Quite. I knew it was that. So if you get 10, 12 games into next season and you're sitting 11th, players aren't running, it's falling apart, then I think it's a fair claim. The peak thing, I mean, what do you consider? Because if you go by points total, City have been past their peak since 2019 when they got 100 points, but they've still carried on winning trophies. So I wouldn't necessarily use points as the barometer. What I would look at is say Arsenal's performances haven't been as good this year, but can it be rectified with the right summer transfer window? Yes. The one thing I wouldn't say is that the players have stopped working for Arteta. I don't feel like it's a toxic environment. I don't feel like they're bored of him just through me watching you play. So do I think you can improve next year with the right window? Absolutely. I think what Carragher and Neville are doing is what they did that season where you missed out on the top 4. They went on to challenge. I think they're individually slinging mud. And I think a lot of people do this in the social media space now. I'm going to consistently, whenever I can, be negative about Liverpool or about Arsenal or about Man United. Because at some point, I'm going to get it right. And I can say, I told you so. I think saying it's, and some people may believe it, and next year, no matter how much you spend, you might continue to go backwards. That's just not what I've seen at this particular moment. However, if you have a bad summer, if you sign Sesko and you sign a couple of decent midfield players and another fullback, then I don't see how he gets you back to the level you were last season or the year before. Personally, I think you need a very, very good summer. But because your team drops off a little bit because of a bad year of recruitment, I don't think it means your team is past its peak, because we've seen that happen to great sides in the past. They win the league, they retain. Oh, they had a bad summer. They came second the following year. They sign a new player and they're bang straight back up the top. I think it's a little bit premature. Now, if you're someone that's never rated Arteta, I mean, having said that, you could be right now, but those people have predicted your downfall 5 years running and they haven't got it right. So maybe this is the one. Oh, I got this summer right. Maybe I'll get it right again. I don't know. I think it's a little bit mudslingy. I think they're throwing a little bit of spaghetti at the wall.
I think he knows what he's doing, but I don't think what he's saying is like outrageous and like so bad, it's so wrong. I think he's trying to give his opinion, but he knows what he's doing. And I think that he knows that he might be wrong, but I think he knows that probably the likelihood is at the moment that maybe there's elements of what he's saying is right. And we'll soon find out next season. We'll know if he's right or wrong.
I suppose I look at it this way, and this is where I think maybe we see it differently. If it's because Arteta has lost it and passed his peak, then the squad's a lot better than everybody's making out. If the squad is poor, like people are saying, well, coming second's pretty good then, isn't it? If it's a really poor squad, I think it's about the balance in the conversation. Is why do you think it's? Yeah. I think it's more not. I think it's past its peak. It's what do you think's past its peak? Is it the squad? You might think it's the squad and the manager, so therefore you need new players and the new manager. But I hear a lot of people go, "I think the manager's lost the dressing room." Well, so you think the squad's better than it is? No, I think the squad's awful. Well, how can an awful squad be second in the league if the manager's lost it? I think it's about the balance and the honesty in the conversation for me, more than the claim. The why rather than the what, I suppose.
There's also an element to say, and a defence to that is, look at what Arteta is doing with this squad. Nobody rates it, and it's second. And then the defence that I'll throw back at is, who bought the squad?
I agree.
Or this manager. Well, it's the manager then. So you can't say, well, this squad's absolutely horrendous. So how the hell is he getting second? Well, who bought this horrendous squad?
Nope.
You know, Arteta's bought this horrendous squad. And with 31 of the players that he's bought in, let's be real, a lot of people are saying we need four or five players in the first 11. So that means there's probably 7 or 8 that have done pretty well out of the 31 signings he's bought in. So we definitely need a new direction. I don't think we could be giving Mikel Arteta any more money in terms of solely just giving it him, which is why I think it goes back to Andrea Berta coming in.
Berta's coming in, yeah. No, I agree. I think the biggest mistake any club can make, like Pep and City are rebuilding their squad, the biggest mistake they can make is to say, Pep, you can go out and scout and pick all the players. I think that would be a mistake. I just think it is in the modern day game. I don't think managers are built that way anymore. I just think it's a different skill set that I don't think young managers and coaches, especially from the continent, I don't think they're taught. I think in England it was different because for 100 years managers run football clubs. So when you want to become a manager, part of your training that you go through is you learn to do. I don't think you can get to the highest level as a manager unless you're good at that talent ID thing. And it doesn't mean that Pep can't see a good player, but I just don't think that's how the modern day games are built. Most coaches and managers from the continent, that's not how their clubs have been run for decades and decades, if ever at all. So I just think, you need to have someone like Berta making the decisions, and you've got to put Arteta in his place, which is you coach and manage the first team. You can have an input and a say, but you can't be the boss of the club. Like, I just don't think that structure works personally. Terry Tibbs here says, my ideal window is for us would be Kirkes. That cross by him the other day against Spurs.
He looks like a prop. Yeah, he looks like a good player, man.
Oh my God. He is. Absolutely. I think he's Liverpool bound, man. I think he's Liverpool bound.
Yeah. I seen a tweet saying Fabrizio apparently said he's going Liverpool, but it wasn't from Fabrizio, so I don't know if it was fake news.
Oh, okay.
But he said he wants Kirkes, Wharton, and Isak. That is based on Salah and VVD. Listen, if Salah and VVD stay, and you get Kirkes, Wharton, and Isak added to that team, you're retaining.
Sorry, he's a Liverpool fan. Sorry, I thought this guy was an Arsenal fan. I'm really sorry.
No, Terry Tibbs. Terry Tibbs is a long-standing. I don't think his name's Terry, but he called him before. He's a good guy. Sorry, I'm eating a raspberry. If Salah stays and we buy Isak, W window.
Yeah, that'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, you're winning you're retaining the league if you do that. You're retaining the league. Dan, thoughts on Arteta storming out of the interview?
Yeah, embarrassing if I'm honest. Rattled, showing that he's struggling, and quite rude if I'm honest. I didn't think anything the interviewer asked him was out of order. He asked him why he believes, is it a mistake you didn't buy a striker in January? He didn't want to answer that. And he asked if he was still in the title race, and he walked off. I mean, it's. I understand he's angry and he's annoyed, but you get paid £15 million a year, man, to answer questions for the fans, and he's walking off. I think it's bad. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And people are saying I can't blame him. It's a stupid question. What, asking if you're out the title race? I mean, come on, man. Yes, the obvious answer, but just answer it, man, and just be a man and move on. That's what I think.
Yeah, he was giving off a few Kevin Keegan vibes. Sort of, he wasn't as angry, but I think
wasn't as nowhere near as passionate either. That is a legendary, like that will go down as an all-time great clip, won't it? I mean, I would love it if we beat them. But he was proud, man.
Now what we get in the rivalries is managers hugging and having sort of Brokeback Mountain bromances.
I
hate it. It ruined it. Pep and Klopp. Yeah. Jake and Heath. You know, Jake and Heath. Jake and Heath. You know what I mean? Who spits on whose hand? Terry, I was at my little brother to watch that film. I thought it was a cowboy and Indian movie type thing. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. My little brother's only like 13. He's like, he looks at me like, what is this? I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I thought it was gonna be. I just thought it'd be cowboys. I thought it'd be like shoot 'em ups and stuff. That was a shock. Always read a review before you go to the cinema. My little brother gave me one weird look. Terry, I, for a Liverpool fan, want Real Madrid this season at the semi-finals and to put to bed for all the sick of them winning like this and put an end to the fear we all have. I can understand that. You're feeling confident at the moment, Liverpool, and you want them. I understand. I like that. Real Madrid have been played off the park by Betis and Rayo the last two games. Rayo Vallecano, I can't say the name right. I know they are though. Have had 52% of the ball at the Bernabeu with more shots. Very weird team. They are a strange team. They play like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Man United with better attackers. That's how I kind of view them a little bit. It's just old-fashioned style of play, no real control. I know they've lost Cruz, it doesn't help, but they just have exceedingly potent knockout power, and it's deadly. It is deadly. Why shouldn't points be used as the barometer? I didn't say they shouldn't be used as the barometer. I just don't think. I just said they're not the ultimate barometer, and the reason I say that is if next. Let's just say, for instance, again, I don't see this. Maybe you will analyze it this way. What's the Premier League league saying this season? So you're on 55 points, 30 to play for. Let's say you finish the season on 78 points this year. If next season you win the league on 77 points, I think it would be strange analysis to say Arsenal went backwards. No one's ever done that before. And there have been seasons where teams win. No one said City went backwards when they won the league with 90 points, but not 100 points. So I think it's a barometer. I think it's something you should focus on. But I always stand by this. Your points total shouldn't be the ultimate barometer. Reason being is if 4, 5, 6 teams competing with you get better, they may get. There's only a maximum amount of points that can be given out in the league. If multiple teams improve, you may still be as good, but you might lose some more points because other teams are better. However, your league position, for me, is more of a barometer than the points that you have, for me personally. But I didn't say it's not a barometer. I said the overarching one. 56 points had Emery sitting 11th. 55 points has Arteta sitting second. That proves two things. One, the league has been poor this season as a whole, but you could argue it's been better, because there's more teams of a higher level taking points off each other. So I don't think it proves what you're saying. I think what it shows is what you're saying is a suggestion. So let's be honest. Look how good I think Forest, Brighton, Bournemouth this year have been phenomenally good. Aston Villa are sitting 8th, but they've actually played well in a lot of games. Fulham have had an excellent season. They started poorly, Crystal Palace, but their run since around October until now has been absolutely brilliant. So there's loads of really good teams in the league this year. The problem is everyone's quite close. So what I don't think you have this season, barring Liverpool, is a team that are just absolutely head and shoulders above everybody else. We've had years before where you have the top 4 who are like brilliant and 10 points clear of the team in fifth and then their own little group, and everybody else is much of a muchness. So I don't think it does prove that, and if this summer Forest have a good window, Brighton have a good window, Villa keep all their signings and add to it, if Bournemouth don't lose too many players, again, you might find the teams at the top get less points next year, because that means there's more chance of, we all know the top six can take points off each other. If you suddenly throw Forest, Brighton, Villa, Bournemouth, Fulham, Palace, Brentford, those teams I've all mentioned, they are all capable of taking points off the best team in the league. So therefore, I don't think it makes the league weaker, which is why I don't look at points as the overarching barometer, because it depends on how good your competitors are as well, to how many points you get. To Arsenal have gone backwards. I agree you've gone backwards. I'm looking more at your performances than your points. I'm looking more at the fact that you didn't attack very well at the beginning of the season. I think that your manager has been too pragmatic at times. I look at your transfer window and the fact you did, especially in January, where you didn't add more firepower to your team, which could have been the difference between you drawing 10 games and maybe turning 10 of those. You turn 5 of those draws into wins, and a lot of them you could have won with more firepower. You add an extra, you take 5 points off, you're on 50, but add an extra 15 points. That puts you 5 behind the top of the league. It's just a striker changes your entire season. So I'm not saying you haven't regressed. I don't think the points total should be the biggest focus for me personally, but I understand where you're coming from, Brandon. I really, really do.